ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Hello students, now we are in the discussion about the photorespiration. Let us continue our concept with photorespiration. Now for the last class we studied that photorespiration, what are the other terminologies to refer? Photorespiration itself is also called as Warburg effect, right? Itself is called as Warburg effect, also referred as C2 cycle. It itself is also referred as glyoxylate cycle. Itself is also referred as what? Glyoxylate cycle. So when we take here the photorespiration, itself is also called Warburg effect, C2 cycle, glyoxylate cycle. So what are the things we discussed here? So you know that the photorespiration was studied and discovered by Otto Warburg, the scientist. Now in the green algae he discussed that increase in oxygen concentration, right, decreases or inhibits photosynthesis. Okay, increase in oxygen concentration inhibits photosynthesis. Now this is experimentally demonstrated, photorespiration experimentally demonstrated by another scientist. Who is the other scientist? There are two combination of two more scientists, Theo and Decker are the two scientists, right? So here photorespiration experimentally demonstrated by two more scientists. Who are the two more scientists? Theo as well as Decker. Now they experimentally demonstrated by these two people on tobacco plant. They have studied on tobacco plant. Experimentally they studied on tobacco plant. Remember, a combination of two scientists, Theo and Decker. Okay, so I repeat again, Otto Warburg is a scientist who just studied that increase in oxygen inhibits photosynthesis. But this Warburg effect, this itself is called as what? This itself is called as Warburg effect, right? And this is experimentally demonstrated by the scientists Theo and Decker on tobacco plant, right? So if you look at, this is also called C2 cycle and also referred as glyoxylate cycle. Now, so if you look at photorespiration, I'm talking about photorespiration. So it mostly occurs in C3 plants at the time of C3 pathway. C3 plant at the time of C3 pathway. And what else we discussed? It is insignificant or undetectable in C4 plants, right? That means, as we have discussed, C4 plants does not respond to photorespiration. Okay, so the statements are very, very important. What we are trying to discuss in this case, photorespiration majorly occurs in C3 plants but absent in C4 plants. It may be insignificant, undetectable. Why? Because C4 plants does not respond to photorespiration. Let us see now why this happens. So I told you for the last class very clearly. So whenever the carbon dioxide concentration is high, Okay, so you can take high carbon dioxide concentration, low oxygen concentration. We have discussed for the last class where RUBP combines with carbon dioxide, undergoes Kelvin cycle, right, and there is a synthesis of sugars. There is a synthesis of sugars. So we discussed this. At this time, so here who plays an important role is nothing but Rubisco. At this time, who plays an important role is nothing but carboxylase. Which enzyme plays very important role? Carboxylase. I hope this part is visible. Carboxylase enzyme, what I have written. Which enzyme it's useful? Carboxylase. So there is an important enzyme called as carboxylase. This enzyme plays very important role, that is carboxylase, and Kelvin cycle there is a synthesis of sugars. It produces sugars. Similarly, in C3 plants, suppose if the carbon dioxide concentration is low, low carbon dioxide concentration, high oxygen concentration, as we discussed for the last class very clearly, what happens because of these conditions? So in this case, RUBP combines with oxygen and produces two compounds. One is phosphoglycolate and other one is phosphoglycerate. Okay, I'll just change the marker. One is phosphoglycolate, other one is phosphoglycerate. What is the first compound? Phosphoglycerate, and other one is phosphoglycolate. It produces two compounds, phosphoglycerate and phosphoglycolate. It produces two compounds, right? And here these compounds which are produced here, they further loses oxygen and they undergo, what they undergo? They undergo C2 cycle. They undergo what cycle? They undergo C2 cycle. So when carbon dioxide concentration is low, oxygen concentration is high, RUBP combines with oxygen, produces two compounds. Which are the two compounds? Phosphoglycolate and phosphoglycerate, and further it undergoes what is called C2 cycle. Now in this, which enzyme is active here? Oxygenase. Which enzyme is active? Here oxygenase. So here it has dual nature. The two enzymes plays very important role. Right. So we will just continue with what is the C2 cycle. This is what we will discuss, and this is what we call it as, this process itself we call it as what? Photorespiration. Now we are just seeing that why photorespiration happens in C3 plants and why it will not happen in C4 plants. Why it will not happen in C4 plants? Let us discuss that part. Okay, so here we are discussing in C4 plants where this process occur in bundle sheath cells. Oh, let me write on upper side so that it is visible. So photorespiration, it is not undetectable, not detectable, meaning it is absent. Why it is not absent? Why C4 plants does not respond to photorespiration? We are discussing the reason. So if you look at in C4 plants where there is a release of carbon dioxide means we say it happens in case of bundle sheath cells. It happens in case of bundle sheath cells. Now if you look at in bundle sheath cells here, now because of the reaction called oxidative decarboxylation. So what occurs here, it's nothing but what? Oxidative decarboxylation. So for every C4 pathway, in every C4 pathway there is a release of carbon dioxide. So there is a release of carbon dioxide. So we say the 6 carbon dioxide molecules are available. When carbon dioxide is available, automatically it combines with RuBP, then it undergoes what is called as Kelvin cycle, and through Kelvin cycle only it synthesizes the sugars. So through Kelvin cycle only there is a synthesis of sugars. Are you all getting here? In C4 pathway, why photorespiration is not detectable? Here the question is, why photorespiration is not detectable in C4 plants? We have written in differences also. In C3 plants we find high photorespiration. In C3 plants we find high photorespiration, but it is not detectable. High photorespiration, it is not detectable in case of C4 plants. It is not detectable in case of C4 plants. What is the reason for that? Because in C4 plants, it occurs in bundle sheath cells. There is a reaction called oxidative decarboxylation. C4 pathway itself produces carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide obviously reacts with RuBP, undergo Kelvin cycle. So in C4 plants, in C4 pathway, through Kelvin cycle only there is a synthesis of sugars. So there is no chance of oxygen combining with the RuBP. That means in this bundle sheath cells, so there is no chance that oxygen combining with RuBP. It's not possible. That's why we say in C4 plants it is insignificant and not detectable. What? Photorespiration. I hope this part is clear. I'll just make it. Otto Warburg identified in case of green algae, increase in concentration inhibits photosynthesis. Where did he study it? This he observed in case of green algae. Who? Warburg. That is why it's called as Warburg effect. Later, experimentally demonstrated by Theo and Decker in case of which plant? Tobacco plant. That means even it happens in higher plants. Right? Now, photorespiration it occurs in C3 plant, C3 pathway, and C3 plant shows high photorespiration. What is the reason means here? Rubisco dual nature, it has two enzymes, carboxylase and oxygenase. When carbon dioxide concentration is high, oxygen concentration is low. We studied for the last class. RuBP combines with carbon dioxide, Kelvin cycle, synthesis of sugars. At this time, which enzyme is active means carboxylase. Similarly, when low carbon dioxide concentration, high oxygen concentration is there, RuBP combines with oxygen. It produces the two compounds. What are the two compounds it produces? Phosphoglycolate and phosphoglycerate, and these two compounds further undergoes what is called C2 cycle. We will continue with C2 cycle, and in this which enzyme is active means oxygenase enzyme is active. So it has Rubisco has dual nature. Because of this reason, C3 plants they generally show sometimes photorespiration. In some C3 plants we find high photorespiration. Then why do we say in C4 plants photorespiration is insignificant, or we say not detected at all? Why? What is the reason for this? Because the reason is, so here the reason for this question is it occurs in bundle sheath cells. In bundle sheath cells what type of reaction occurs? Oxidative decarboxylation. So what happens in C4 pathway in this reaction? There is a release of carbon dioxide. So 6 carbon dioxide molecules reacts with RuBP. Through this only Kelvin cycle occurs, and there is a synthesis of sugars only by Kelvin cycle. So oxygen will not get a chance to combine with RuBP. That's why you say insignificant or undetectable, not detectable, or C4 plant does not respond to photorespiration. Now, as what we said, come back to this point, RuBP combined with oxygen, this is what is called photorespiration. It produces two compounds, these two compounds undergo C2 cycle. That means photorespiration also called as C2 cycle, also called as glyoxylate cycle. Now, let us discuss C2 cycle or glyoxylate cycle. Now, let me tell you, the C2 cycle or glyoxylate cycle occurs in C2 cycle itself is called as what? Glyoxylate cycle. It occurs in 3 cell organelles. It occurs in 3 cell organelles. What are those 3 cell organelles? They are nothing but chloroplast, peroxisome and mitochondria. So, C2 cycle also called as what? Glyoxylate cycle. Where it occurs in a combination of 3 cell organelles. There are altogether 3 cell organelles. Which are those 3 cell organelles? We find chloroplast, peroxisome and mitochondria. In a sequence you have to remember. So, do not change the sequence, because if you change the sequence and if you do not remember properly, sequence is very important. What are they? Chloroplast, peroxisome and then mitochondria. These 3 cell organelles, they play a vital role what is called as C2 cycle itself is called as what? Glyoxylate cycle. Now, let us study now C2 cycle or glyoxylate cycle. Now, let us study or let us draw all 3 cell organelles. So, this is nothing but chloroplast, nothing but peroxisome, and down one is nothing but what? Mitochondria. So, what you write here? This is nothing but chloroplast, this is nothing but peroxisome. Let me write somewhat this side so I can write points. This is chloroplast, peroxisome and this is mitochondria. So, you try to remember the first cell organelle is chloroplast, next one which plays a vital role is second one is peroxisome. First chloroplast in a sequence you have to remember, second is peroxisome and the third one is nothing but mitochondria. Now, let us discuss what happens in this case. We take RuBP. Now, it combines with oxygen, produces phosphoglycolate and phosphoglycerate. Phosphoglycolate can be produced here. So, first let us write phosphoglycerate. Phosphoglycerate. right? Now as soon as the phosphoglycerate is produced here, it loses the phosphorus, inorganic phosphorus, and it converts into the component called as glycerate, right? And the glycerate what is produced within the chloroplast enters into peroxisome. Glycerate what is produced here enters into what is called peroxisome, and in this peroxisome it again combines with phosphorus, becomes glyoxylate. It becomes the component called as glyoxylate, and here along with this you can see there is a release of hydrogen peroxide. So here it not only loses this loses here oxygen. There is maybe two molecules of oxygen, one molecule goes out, glycerate again combines with what is called as glyoxylate. Along with that there is a release of what is called as H2O2. Better you draw peroxisome somewhat bigger. So this is like peroxisome. So along with that it releases what is called hydrogen peroxidate. Now this glyoxylate, it converts into an amino acid called glycine. It produces an amino acid called as what? Glycine. Now glycine enters into mitochondria, and this glycine undergo transamination. What is transamination? Conversion of one amino acid into another amino acid. It gets converted into serine. So while conversion from glycine to serine within the mitochondria, it releases ammonia, it releases carbon dioxide, where NAD plus converts into NADPH2, NADPH. Okay, so don't ever think it releases energy. Whatever the energy it released, again it utilizes. Okay, so don't need to think that energy is released. Whatever the NADPH produced here in the conversion of glycine to serine, again it will make use of that NADPH. So here this serine, better you take that glycolate only ma. Glycerate can be formed later. Either of this you can take glycolate. Better you can take this is glycolate, because two compounds are important. Let us take this is glycolate. From glycolate, what is produced here is glycolate. Yeah, so the glycolate what is produced here, because there are two compounds. Glycolate, glycerate. Phosphoglycolate will be there, phosphoglycerate will be there. If you start with glycerate, glycolate will come here. If you start with glycolate, glycerate will come here. So both are interchangeable, but mostly we take into consideration of phosphoglycolate. It removes phosphorus and forms glycolate. Glycolate loses further oxygen, becomes glyoxylate. It takes oxygen and forms glyoxylate, releases hydrogen peroxide. Glycine is produced, it is an amino acid. Glycine enters into this, it releases ammonia, carbon dioxide, NADPH, it gets converted into serine, and serine enters into again peroxisome. Now in this case it converts into hydroxypyruvate. It converts into the compound called hydroxypyruvate, and then converts into the component called as glycerate. Okay, then converts into the component called as what? Glycerate. Now glycerate then enters into chloroplast. So I am writing little up here because I need little more space here. So glycerate enters into chloroplast. Little up I am writing. So here RuBP combines with oxygen. This is what we started with the reaction. Glycerate converts into, here in this case, PGA, phosphoglyceric acid, by utilizing ATP into ADP. That means one molecule of ATP is utilized. It utilizes ATP molecule. It takes the energy called ATP molecule, produces PGA, that is phosphoglyceric acid. Again phosphoglyceric acid produces what is called RuBP back into the system. So this is very very important. So here very importantly you have to remember the conversions. So C2 cycle itself is called glyoxylate cycle because the main component what is produced here itself is glyoxylate. As glyoxylate produced here, that's why it's also called as glyoxylate cycle, where glyoxylate compound production happens within the peroxisome. Within the peroxisome, glyoxylate is produced, that's why it's called glyoxylate cycle. Then why do you call it a C2 cycle? Because phosphoglycolate contains 2 carbons. RUBP, when it reacts with oxygen, it produces phosphoglycolate, it contains 2 carbons, that's why it's said to be C2 cycle. So here in photorespiration begins with the chloroplast, where oxygen concentration is very high. So you find high oxygen and low is nothing but carbon dioxide. Then what happens? RUBP combines with oxygen, produces phosphoglycolate having 2 carbons. Phosphorus is removed, it produces glycolate. Glycolate produced within the chloroplast enters into peroxisome, and this glycolate here takes one more molecule of oxygen, converts glyoxylate. Hydrogen peroxide is produced, and look at here, hydrogen peroxide is produced by whom here? In the C2 cycle, right? But you know, when you talk about microbodies, did you remember cytology end part? What are microbodies? We have 2. What are they? Peroxisomes and glyoxysomes. So you studied, right? Glyoxysomes are involved in what? Glyoxysomes are involved in glyoxylate cycle, or itself is called C2 cycle. Did you remember? So this is nothing but glyoxylate cycle. Who is playing a vital role means glyoxysomes. Where glyoxysomes are playing a vital role means within the peroxisome. So glyoxylate cycle operates where? Within the peroxisomes. In what way peroxisomes are helpful for glyoxylate cycle? Here they causes detoxification of H2O2. Peroxisomes, how do they helpful means? They are involved in detoxification of H2O2. They remove the H2O2 and they remove the water, oxygen is removed, and this H2O2 if more is accumulated it becomes toxic, and it is removed by breaking the H2O2, water comes, nascent oxygen is removed. Who does the process? That happens with the help of peroxisomes. Glyoxylate cycle converts stored lipids into carbohydrates. So this all are interrelated with what is called as C2 cycle, right? So here glyoxylate then by removing H2O2 converts into an amino acid called as glycine. Glycine is produced within the peroxisome, no doubt. The same glycine enters into mitochondria, undergo transamination, converts one form of amino acid into another form. Glycine converts into serine, and in this case there is a release of ammonia, there is a release of carbon dioxide, NAD plus converts into NADPH. Now serine produced in mitochondria enters into peroxisome. Now here again the NAD plus what is produced here again converts into NADPH. Hydroxypyruvate, not here. The NADPH what is produced here, the NADPH again converts back into NAD plus. That's why generally we don't take into consideration of the count. What is produced here again it is consumed. So we don't take into consideration of NADPH. Serine converts into hydroxypyruvate and that converts into glycerate. So NADPH converts back into NAD plus. Glycerate what is produced in the peroxisome enters into chloroplast, and here it makes use of molecule of ATPs. ATP is consumed. Very very important. What is consumed here? Molecule of ATP is consumed. Glycerate converts into PGA. PGA again regenerates RUBP back into the system. That's why this is called C2 cycle, also called as what? Glyoxylate cycle. This is more closely related with peroxisomes and glyoxysomes, what we have discussed in the microbodies. Remember the sequence of chloroplast, peroxisome, mitochondria. What type of reactions occurs where? That is what you have to remember. What are the important things? carbon dioxide is released, NADPH produced is again consumed, and ATP is consumed. These are the very, very important components. There are two components produced, phosphoglycolate and phosphoglycerate. So these compounds are produced. Right, this photorespiration is considered as a wasteful process. It is referred as what? A wasteful process. Very, very important. Photorespiration is considered as a wasteful process. Why it is called wasteful process? Why photorespiration is called as a wasteful process? Because here there is a release of carbon dioxide and no synthesis of sugars. Okay. Here what happened? Here no synthesis of sugars, and here no synthesis of ATP, right? And moreover, there is a release of carbon dioxide. By operating photorespiration process, it is not at all useful to the plant. Whenever RUBP combines with oxygen, it undergoes C2 cycle, and that is referred as a wasteful process. Wasteful process, where it occurs? It occurs in C3 plants and does not occur in C4 plants. As it does not occur in C4 plants, as photorespiration does not occur in C4 plants, that's why C4 plants have high biomass productivity, or you see that itself is referred as they have high photosynthetic yield. Okay, so whenever the question comes, why C4 plants are more efficient when compared with C3? Why? Because photorespiration is absent in C4 plants, wasteful process is absent in C4 plants. That is the reason why there is no wastage of RUBP combining with oxygen. So whatever RUBP is, that combines always with carbon dioxide, and as a result it undergo Kelvin cycle. As a result of Kelvin cycle, there is a continuous synthesis of sugars. That's why sugar production is more. There is more synthesis of sugar. As more synthesis of sugar, that is the reason why they have high photosynthetic yield, or they have high biomass production in case of C4 plants. What is the reason? Because in C4 plants, photorespiration is totally absent. Very, very important. Photorespiration is absent. That's why here biomass productivity or photosynthetic yield is more. Whatever RUBP is there combines with carbon dioxide, there is more and more synthesis of sugars. Whereas in C3 plants, photorespiration occurs, as because of photorespiration occurs in C3 plants, that is, it is a wasteful process. With this process, no use at all, because no synthesis of sugars, sugars are not utilized, sugars are not produced, no synthesis of ATP, and there is a release of carbon dioxide. And why do you think it's wasteful process? Okay, there is no synthesis of ATP, it's fine, but there is a utilization of ATP, or there is a consumption of ATP. ATP is required to operate this process. No synthesis of ATP, Moreover, it uses ATP to operate this process. It takes the energy from the plant, but no use at all with this process. No synthesis of ATP. Moreover, it consumes ATP. That's why it's called as what? A wasteful process. Photorespiration is considered as a wasteful process. Why? Because no synthesis of sugars, no synthesis of ATP, release of carbon dioxide. Even though there is no ATP is produced, it's fine, but it takes ATP for operation of the process. That's why it's called wasteful process. As this photorespiration occurs in C3 plants, that's why in C3 plants there is a low photosynthetic yield, or we say low biomass production. So whenever the question is in C3 plants, why there is low photosynthetic yield or low biomass production, the reason is here photorespiration occurs. Why in C4 plants high biomass production or high photosynthetic yield means here photorespiration is absent, and moreover remember it's considered as a wasteful process.
ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్. ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.